Hello, everybody. It is Rocco, you boy, coming at you again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this What Scares Players series, we have my friend Christian here, Maximum Pants, member of the Pants Mafia, esteemed tournament player throughout the Midwest, known in Australia, known in Canada. Really fun guy. Also plays good Blood Bowl, too, throwing that in there. Say hi, Christian.
How you going, everyone?
Yeah, nah, yeah. So, in this episode, we will be talking about the clammy, cold, nasty little filled with teeth balls of fungus, the Gloomspite Gitz. And Christian has some experience with them, as you do. And
Yeah, a couple of GTs over the last couple of months since the new book came out. So, yep.
yeah, no, you've been getting a good feel for it. As long as we're not on a team and I can't jinx your dice, you do great. I'm still so sorry for that.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, that was all on me, man. Um, and Christian here. Uh, Bud, can you give me just like an overview, real quick, of like what are the Gits? Because it feels like it's
All
three
right.
armies standing on top of each other in a trench coat. Sometimes I don't know what's going
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's goblins.
Mm-hmm.
There's ones that have spears and they have swords. They have bows. They do some stuff. You know, they're not that as exciting. The one that you usually see are the big squig riding ones because
Mm-hmm.
squigs are fun and fantasy and they bounce all over the place and bite stuff really well.
Yeah.
And then, if you want, you could also play the Trog ones, which are the slow guys, but they hit really hard and they can sure take a punch, and they're fantastic. There's the Spider ones, you don't see them very often. They're a big roulette wheel because they can do a lot of mortal wounds or they can do nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're the kind of person that's high risk, high reward, you're going to really enjoy playing them.
All
And
right.
yeah, then they've got some pretty good magic. But I think overall, it's a combat army, and they're going to run in there and try and beat up their opponents, but it's just got a lot of really good buffs. It's a big buff army, a lot like
Okay.
Daughters of Cain
Sure.
and Seraphon. Those armies, you can buff up any single unit in the game, and it is going to be ridiculously strong. And you chuck it forwards, and it can kill anything you want. And then hopefully you keep your buff pieces safe, and then you can do it to another unit, and another unit, and another unit, and you can keep fighting. Yeah, like that's basically the gist of these little green guys.
Beautiful. It could be hordes. It could be elite, monstrous infantry. It could be spiders that swing. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. We got some magic, you're saying. We've got. I know a standout unit for you is also Grincrack in the
I
Underworld's
love Green
Warband.
Crack. Oh my god, he's an MVP. Oh my god, like he just went up 30 points, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I'm still taking him. I'm paying that 30 points. I don't even know where that limit is. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
actually.
does he go up 100 points? I still might take him. He's fantastic.
And that's the beauty of this army is there's so many tools and so many different ways to play. It's almost like an opponent. You can't make a set list because you don't even know what type of gets they're bringing. You know.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and it's been a hard army to balance. You've seen a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
points changes here and there, and erratas here and there, but
Yeah.
because it is that buff army, it's something that those buffs apply to any unit. So it's just like,
Sure.
oh shit, you can double the points of squig hoppers, and it's like, I don't care. I'll just start taking bounders, and it's like, well, then you double the points of bounders, and I'm like, I don't care. I'll put those on grots with spears, and they're still going to be great because the buffs are so fantastic. It's just
Yeah.
really hard to just like pick one specific thing in the
Okay.
book and say like that's the thing that's the strong thing because it's just a combination of all the different abilities that work on stuff.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that because again, that to me it sounds like internally it's a well balanced book because it can
Hmm.
go on anything. It can do whatever you want. It is what you make of it. The terrain piece is fantastic. Its mechanic of returning units back after they die is good. So I'm a player on the other side of the table here. I'm walking up here to my tournament pairing, and I see you a Gits player, and I'm just like nervous as hell. What should I be looking out for? What scares a Gloomspite Gits player?
Okay, so there's a lot of things that are going to be specific to how you kit out your army because you
Okay.
might not bring anything that scares a Gits player. Like if I walk up against someone who is, say, a very slow combat army, I'm usually
Yeah.
going to really like that matchup because I can keep all my stuff safe in the back, all my buff pieces.
Uh-huh.
Because unless you bring something that can go and kill my buff pieces, I'm pretty happy with that fight because
Okay.
yeah, all my stuff is going to be fighting at maximum efficiency. So I'm going to say the first thing to worry about is going to be long range damage.
All right.
So, say if I'm playing against Seraphon, I'm going to be really scared because they're going to have maybe Croak, they're going to have
Yeah.
maybe a Slan, just even that Starborn Temple is going to be able to nuke stuff at ranged.
Oh yeah. Comet's
With
call. You know.
Comet's Call, really good. And most of these Gits, my heroes that do these great buffs, are only 4 wound heroes. It doesn't take
Ooh.
much at all to knock them out. So, even something like a Stormcast Dragon is probably going to fly 12 inches and shoot 12 inches. It's pretty hard to keep that sort of stuff like safe from those things. So,
That's fair.
that's the thing. If you've got something that can reach those heroes,
Mm.
that's going to be a big deal. That's something that I'm very scared of because my combat damage. Some of these Gits units fully buffed. If you've seen the people doing Math Hammer, they're like, this unit with all the buffs can somehow do 150 damage, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, usually you don't bring all those buffs. Like I'll bring half of those buffs and do 50 damage or something. But you
Sure.
knock out two of those one buff piece, and my 50 damage goes down to 30. You knock out two of the buff pieces, suddenly it's down to 20. This is a whole different game that we're playing if you knock out those buff pieces. So
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
big thing. Obviously the GHP just put in a new thing. Didn't we
Yes.
just get a new errata to protect heroes if they're near a unit?
Yes. That is exciting with the new errata to try to protect you from some of this shooting from this ranged threat.
Mhm.
But again, that's shooting. If they can do it through an ability, if they can do it through magic, you are still in the danger zone.
Yeah, so definitely think about that. If Gitz is your matchup and you're playing against Gitz and you are worried about this matchup, if there's something in your army that can do damage from an ability or a spell instead of from shooting, that's going to be great
Yeah.
because some of these buff pieces, like we're going to talk about the little squig boss. He's the new
Oh,
guy that
please.
came
Yeah.
in the clan. He came in the clan pack like with the new book, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he's so good. He is like the clutch thing that makes the squig held ridiculous. So
Okay.
he's going to do he's got two main things he's going to be doing to these squig herd. One of them, he's
Yep.
going to give them a start of the hero phase move, so he can make those squigs move really fast. They're not that scary when they can't move fast, but when they can move fast, they're very scary. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
take first and snipe out that squig boss, you've got these foot slogging little squig herd that can't go very fast at all. So
Okay.
and then the second ability is he's going to be able to give a squig unit sixes to hit through mortal wounds.
Whew.
So that's just basically a like a full size squig herd unit. That's going to give them like on average something like 15 mortal wounds in addition to their normal damage.
Yeah.
Huge amount of mortal wounds. It's really really good. So
Love
he's
that.
only 4 wounds. If you can kill him somehow, like that's massive.
Mm-hmm.
You've knocked so much out of that army. So yeah.
Yep. Let alone Grincrack and his ability to make squigs fight on death.
Oh yeah,
You
yep, yep.
know.
So I want to tell everyone about Grincrack. That's the only
Sorry,
reason I win
sorry,
any
sorry.
games, Rocco. Yeah,
He
yeah.
just went up 30 points. Yeah, that's right.
Yep,
Don't take him. It's okay. Let him chill out.
yep.
Uh, but yeah, and then you also have these resilient casters that are like they could have like a ward save, but or again they're lower on wounds and they're light on armor. And also, is it fair to say that like a horde clearing spell could be really rough into this army if it's not trogs? Like if it is a bunch of stabbers and shooters, or if it is these hordes of squigs.
For sure, but that
Okay.
isn't something that I'm usually that worried about in my
Okay,
army
that's good to
because
know.
a Gitz army is going to be heavy on wounds. So
Mm.
when you're going to have like a big unit of squig herd, that's a 72 wound unit. You can have
Yeah.
a big unit of 60 stabbers or
And then
60
2 wounds
shooters.
apiece. Those
Yeah,
squigs. So yeah, horde clearing isn't gonna be that effective because it's cool.
Um, I've
Cool.
had horde killers go in and they're just like, all right, I'm gonna roll 30 dice, and it's just like, cool, that's 15 mortal wounds or something, and you go like, that's cool. I take off like 7 squigs, like that's yeah. If they have the
Yeah.
ward save on, it's like I take off 3 squigs, like that's really depressing for your opponent.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
like you'd think that killing is a big thing, but because we have a lot of wounds in the units, and
Yeah.
then usually there's a lot of like recursion in the way of bringing fully dead units back, and also
Mhm.
being able to rally if you're under the bad moon really well.
Okay. Okay.
Um, because of that, it's not that scary. So
So let me come out here with a counter question here then. So with that recursion and bringing units back, are we scared of monsters taking out the Loon Shrine?
absolutely, the shrine is everything. If they take
Okay.
out the shrine on turn one, it has ruined your whole day. It's really scary. And like
Okay.
as much as the recursion is fantastic. It's like a really, really strong mechanic.
Yeah, bringing these
But
units back, all the healing,
mhm,
all. Yep, yep.
absolutely. But it being a source of the bad moon, it to me is even more important
Mhm.
than those things. So,
Well,
uh,
Christian, what about?
yeah.
Give me the whole lowdown on the Loon Shrine then. Give me the whole bit because I came in and jumped in and said it. I keep forgetting even that it's a locus of the bad moon. So please, why is this so
Okay.
important to your army? Why do we have to kill it?
Okay. Uh, Probably 50% of Gloomspite players are going to pick Protect the Shrine as their grand strategy. So it's going to
Okay.
be a 2 point turnaround.
Okay.
And other than that, it's a big piece of terrain, probably where they're going to be hiding all of their buff pieces that they don't want you to shoot at because you're not going to be able to see them. So they're going to be deploying it right behind that thing.
Okay. Okay.
In the new GHB, I believe you can make it your wizard tower as well. So I think that's worth some extra points. Are probably going to be arcane for these gets wizards as well.
That's right. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, so you're going to have to deploy it in your territory, right?
Yes.
So battle plans are going to be important. When I see a battle plan where the red and the blue touch, and you just have to be 9 away from the other
Mm-hmm.
side,
Mm-hmm.
like I love that because then I can forward deploy and I can put my Loon Shrine in front of my army. So my army is going to be down, Loon Shrine in front, and then I've got
Yeah.
this 12-inch bubble all the way around the shrine where I count as being in the bad moon. So being in the bad moon, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
mean if you're a Moon Clan unit, you're going to be able to rally on a 4 up. So that's really good, right?
You
So
love to
if
see
you're
it.
near an objective and you get a bunch of like stabbers, whatever, they're going to be rallying back on 4 ups. Even like bounders and things like that, they're also
Yeah.
Moon Clan keyword. They're going to be rallying on a 4 up. So
Wow.
yeah, if you can have your shrine in a way that it's fairly near an objective in that 12-inch bubble and it's
Yeah.
placed aggressively, it's going to do so much work for you. Other than that, if you're a Trog, you're going to get +1 to your save rolls.
Okay.
Fantastic. A free little Mystic Shield around there as
Yeah.
well. Again, makes them so sturdy. And 12 inches is quite a big range,
It
right?
is. It's a big model too.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
great.
going to help so much if you're playing an aggressive Squig army because they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
they can
Mm-hmm.
run in charge when they're in the bad moon. So
Yeah.
that's going to make their turn one charge reliable. So if I can't afford deploying my Loon Shrine, it's a bit dicey. My turn one charge, I
Okay.
think with the Squig Herd is going to be 10 plus 46, right?
Mm.
So 46 on. So if you're rolling average, that is going to be 24 inches, which means a Squig Herd
Yep.
can get you on turn one in a 22-inch deployment.
Yep.
But average is 24. That doesn't mean you always roll 24. Sometimes you roll less than 24.
That's the truth,
So
man.
yeah, so sometimes that you end up and Squig Herd as well. They can't take command points, so you can't re-roll
Mm-hmm.
that last charge. So yeah, so because of that, Shrine's so important. It makes that reliable turn one charge for the Squig Herd.
Okay.
And the same, you can do some sneaky things, like especially if you're like slinging a Mangler Squig somewhere.
Oh,
If they
sure.
get to move like 10 plus D6 plus the run for the runner charge,
Yeah.
and then they can do like the 2D6 charge and then the
Yeah.
3D6 bounce. Like that's how you can slingshot that stupid Mangler Squig 50 inches across the board, and it's so much fun to do.
Oh yeah. But yeah, getting
Okay.
rid of that shrine just takes away the reliability of that. It takes away so many buffs.
Yep. And
Okay.
when your units die at the end of your turns only, not yours and your opponent's, you
Yeah.
can roll a dice at the end of the turn if you have a dead unit. And on a 4 up, a unit of yours that is fully dead can come back with half the bottles. So
Mm.
stopping that flat out is amazing. So if you do have monsters, definitely try and stomp that Moonshrine down.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
Because it's
So
board control, it's buffs, it's protection, it's and
yeah.
to the protection point too that you mentioned earlier, because not all tables are filled with terrain equally.
Hmm.
So to actually have something that big that could block line of sight from shooting
Yep.
or from magic after you sling your whole army up, and maybe
Hmm.
you're not near battle line units anymore because you brought squigs and they needed to
Hmm.
go, or you needed to hold objectives. That is a fantastic piece to hide your troops behind, and it is something that, as the opponent, you need gone.
And remember the line of sight checks as well, because a
Yeah.
lot of players that like to do, say, a croak bomb, which
Hmm.
way less strong than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Also, a techless attack. Those spells do need line of sight, so a lot of times people put it down thinking, "Oh, I can get all the units in within 18." That doesn't
Hmm.
help them if you can't draw line of sight from that casting point. So,
Yes.
yeah, yes. So don't screw up and make sure that you check your line of sight as well when you put down your thing that you're going to be casting from.
Oh, sure, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So yeah, they're
All right.
two things. So hero buff pieces, they're
Yep.
very fragile. They add so much damage to the unit. So get rid of those. And
Hmm.
yeah, glitz players hate that. Also, the Loon Shrine. So many buffs. It's so good. If you can get rid of that, fantastic. So the next
Okay.
big thing that Gits have a big weakness on
Please.
is going to be bravery. So
Okay.
Mangler Squigs are bravery 10. Fanatics are bravery 10.
Yeah.
Everything else in the army is bravery 5 or 6.
So
So
here's my question, because for a long time the shrine used to give you a buff of battle shock. That's gone now. No more battle shock
absolutely
immunity
gone.
from the
Yeah,
shrine.
new book that's gone. So
Okay.
you need to you have legit bravery tests that you have to do. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you can make Gits players do a lot of battle shock tests, they can only
Hmm.
make one unit immune to battle shock. So
Yeah.
and pretty much every time they have to take it, even if they lose like one or two models, they're probably going to have an extra couple run away. So typically, as a Gits player, I'll
Okay.
usually end up spending every single player turn, I'll burn one inspiring presence. So that's going to
Yeah.
be because typically I'll have like maybe like for a full battle round, four, maybe five command points if I'm lucky. If my general dies, two or
Yeah.
three, I'm going to tell you two of those every single battle round on inspiring presence. So, so they're going to be very short on command points. So if you're playing something like OBR that can steal your command points, oh my
Yeah.
god, it's terrible. You're just like, well, I guess I don't get any buffs. All I get to do is keep mine for inspiring presence, and everything else is gone. Like,
Right.
yeah, you won't get any.
Yeah. Death armies definitely seem to be a problem. If you
Yeah,
and there's also there's one of the endless spells that messes with. There's several that I'm thinking of now that like stop inspiring presence in general.
yeah. I think
There's
Nighthaunt has the thing where you just
yeah.
can't take one if you're next to Nighthaunt.
Yeah, yeah, because you're
Yeah,
terrified.
yeah.
Ah,
So yeah, like yeah, they're
Gargants
gonna lose
too.
so much. Trolls hate it because
I
yeah, your
bet.
trolls are bravery 6. So if you
Are
can
they
lose two
really?
trolls, yeah, lose two trolls, and suddenly you're on like almost you're yeah a third of a chance to lose another troll, and you can
Yeah.
just roll bad. I've had times where it was just like I lose one troll, and it's just like oh shit, two more ran from battle shock. This is terrible. Like this is really scary. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
it's starting to come together here. All right. So we take out the heroes. We take out the. We take out the shrine with all the good stuff it does. We mess
mhm.
with bravery.
Yep.
Um,
So if you have bravery debuffs, yes. Also, if you could just
just
do a
command
lot of
points.
damage to a lot of different units, like
Yeah.
they can't be everywhere at every time. So a
Okay.
Gits player probably wants to buff one real big unit, chuck it in, have a giant fight with that unit, and then only have to worry about their command points and their buffs on that unit at a time. If you're
Mm-hmm.
fighting in a lot of places, all the other units are not going to be buffed, and they're not going to be able to take a hit. They're not going to punch anywhere near as hard. So if you can
Okay.
fight them on multiple fronts, that's not what Gits want to be about. So they want to be all about one
That's
big
good.
fight.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
bad for Gitz. That's good for the rest of us, folks. But
Yeah.
okay, okay, all right.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So
there's
command
more.
points was a thing. Well, command points was a thing that we just
That's
talked about.
true.
Like especially when you're looking at stuff like say bounders and squigs.
Yeah.
So
Go
squig
on.
herd bounders all hitting on fours. So they're going to be
Mm,
wanting to get that all out assault. So you can roar them
yeah.
because their stats are just not very good. They do have a lot of dice, but
Sure.
yeah, their stats aren't that great. So the
Okay.
next part would be debuffs, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I fought against some soul blight people when they're just like, you can have -1 to hit and -1 to wounds, and I'm like, fives and fives, great. Yep, I'm gonna do some work here.
Oh,
So yeah,
rip my Frost Phoenix, man, in my city's army. That -1 to wound orb, it's gone but not forgotten.
yeah.
Oh
Who
man.
still has one? I think Fire Slayers still have a -1 to
Yeah,
wound
they
aura,
should
don't
still
they?
have
Yeah,
one too. Yeah, off of
yeah,
the big magma droth. It should be one of the
yeah,
mount traits.
yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. Okay, so debuffs are definitely what we're slinging. We're trying to engage on multiple fronts here. Because yeah,
Hmm.
you like you said, you just want all these buffs on one unit at a time. You pick the fights. You're the aggressor as the Gits player. They cannot take being aggressed upon. Okay.
Yeah. Always remember being able to redeploy as well,
Oh
because
shit.
yeah, because Git's not like yeah, they like Squig Herd can't re-roll that charge.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's like if you can redeploy and make that charge like 2 inches further away, that's going to help you a lot to stop those Squig Herds.
I think that
And a lot
happened to
of
us at
units,
Adepticon with someone
yeah,
redeployed in it. Yeah. Yeah, man, that was rough. That
yeah.
was okay.
Well, we're talking
Okay.
about squigs specifically. Squigs all do have +1 to attack when they charge if they're in
Mm,
if they're in the squig faction. So,
okay.
getting the charge on them as well is going to like reduce a lot of their damage output. So,
Sure. Yeah, then it's
yeah.
like you're going against a corn army, or it's like we could get all these buffs if we get all this. But if you can just stuff them in their own zone, stop them from being the aggressor.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so say you've done all those things, like maybe you've been able to like knock out a buff piece, and you've able to
Sure.
get the charge, and maybe you've sprinkled a bit of damage here and there to make them do a couple battle shock tests. You're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're then gonna have to pick your charge of where you want to attack, and
Yeah.
that's where we go back to Grimcracker. We're like, don't fight the one that's buffed by Grimcracker because that
Mm-hmm.
thing is ridiculous. So Grimcracker's going to give them the fight on death, and
Yeah.
they get to pile in before they fight. So a big unit of Squig Herd basically will do as much damage to you if you charge it than if it was going to charge you. Like, was
Mm-hmm.
that was our game? I think of Adepticon, game 5, where a unit of Fulminators just like
Yeah.
charged in, killed 7 squigs, and then melted themselves. And
They
then
did.
Dragons
It
did
was
the same thing.
glorious. Yep. It
Yeah.
was. I have never seen Stormcast dragons run away from anything before, but
Yep.
they ran away from those squigs like it
Yep.
was nobody's business. And you tracked them down and got them in
Hmm.
the end,
Hmm.
and kept us in that game, and it was fantastic.
Yep.
But it's one of those things too where like if I'm going against squigs and I see the very obviously buffed unit, right? Why would
Hmm.
I fight that? Why not just fight all the rest of the units? And then when those buffs fall off in the next turn because they're not near the support heroes, then I come at them.
Yep.
Right? That seems to be like a viable idea here.
Hmm.
And then that'll give me time to kill support pieces, cause a bunch of battle shocks, and then maybe have a chance.
Yep. Yeah, while we're at it for their buff pieces, just like another downside of them,
Oh sure.
a very good Gits player is going to know their bubbles and their ranges of all their buff
Mm-hmm.
heroes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
typically, because our heroes run like they're really slow. Most of them are moving like 5 inches, right? And then
Ooh.
meanwhile, they're trying to buff a unit that's going to be running like 10 plus 2d6 inches on these squigs, right? So
Yeah,
how
they're
do they
long
keep up
gone.
with it? And the way to keep up with them is to go and put little lines of units. So you're going to be putting little tails off of units so they can tail back to their buff heroes.
Okay.
Obviously, keeping coherency by having a little triangle at the end, so
Sure.
they've still got
Sure.
their 3. So they'll be buff piece, little triangle, and then you line off and you're fighting. So I think they call that the balloon because it looks like a balloon
Yep.
with a little string, right?
Yep.
So Gitz is going to be really susceptible to things that can break coherency. So if you have the Star Drake or something like that, and you can break
Yeah.
those lines and start trying to make them delete half their unit, that's going to be a real tough choice for those squigs.
Totally, totally. Ah, Christian, thank you so much. This has been a lot, man. This has been a lot of good stuff we can work with here. We've got even some armies that we could think of with like a lot of undead things. We've got Seraphon ways, armies that have ways to break stuff out of coherency, force battle shock tests. Do you have any closing thoughts?
There's going to be one piece of advice that I give. So whenever I'm at a
Okay.
tournament and my friends come up and they say to me, "I'm playing Gits. What do I do?"
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I always say to them is they're a lot sturdier than you think they are. And however much you think you can do, if you think you've got enough damage to do, you should probably bring 1.5, 2 times that much damage because it's not going to be enough. And the amount of
Yeah.
times after the game, it's like my friend will come over and he's like, playing his full Stonehorn army, and he's just like, "You were right. Like I attacked with 2 Stonehorns and I thought they'd do the job. It's like they didn't do the job, and I really
Yeah.
should have tried to put that other Stonehorn in as well." And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They're just
Yeah.
There's a lot of wounds in these units, and if you don't roll hot, you won't be able to get through the units, and you'll just be stuck in a grind. And that's exactly what Gits want you to be. They want to be in that grind. They're going to be giving you
Yeah.
-1 to hit from their nets and their all their trolls and stuff like that,
Ah.
and they're going to be buffing their units and fighting on death, hopefully in your turn and their turn, and then eventually getting their guys back after the fight's over as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so commit what you can to kill the units, because I guess just like playing Death or something like that, they can come back a lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a mountain to climb here going against Gits if you're not prepared. But we seem to have found a path to at
Yep.
least try to ascend. Thank you so much, Christian, for coming on.
Mhm.
Um,
Thank you for having me.
oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
Mhm.
And as we like to say at the end of all of our videos here, be nice, roll some dice, go out and have fun, play your games, and hopefully this helps you out. Thanks for coming. Bye.